Hey, I hope you're having an awesome day. My quote today comes from Viktor Frankl, who wrote a great book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in that book, Viktor said that when you and I cannot change a situation that we're in, then we're forced to change ourselves. Hi, my name is Alonzo. Please like and subscribe to this channel. If you want motivating, inspirational stories and updated things, then subscribe or like this channel. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist in Poland. And in World War II, the Nazis took him and his entire family and put them in a concentration camp. And the first day, Viktor and his wife rode the train for 18 hours. And they got off the train and his wife was taken to a women's prison camp. But Viktor wasn't. Viktor was with the rest of the men. They were divided in two groups. And one group went off to the gas chambers and was immediately gassed. But Viktor was among those that were taken to the end of the concentration camp to become a work party, to build roads and all kinds of work projects for the Nazis. They built munitions plants. They built all kinds of things. But while he was incarcerated into the camp, which he spent 3 years there, they faced horrid conditions. They were given one set of clothes a year. They slept in earthen floored huts. They slept on bunk beds where they had 9 men sleeping in a single bed with 2 blankets to stretch across the 9 men. They were served 1 slice of bread per day for their food ration, and they were given a bowl of pea soup. And most of the time, the bowls of soup did not even have peas in it. It just was broth. It was like just this broth. And what the Nazis were really doing is these men were all gonna die. But instead of just gassing them, what they would do is they would just work them and get every scrap, every piece of life out of them and just work them to death. And Viktor, he figured that the odds of him surviving was about 1 in 28. The conditions were horrid. They worked in the snow. They worked 7 days a week. They were awakened before dawn, and they were brought back after dark. And some of the things that would happen is sometimes their feet would swell, and their feet would swell so much that they couldn't put their boots on. And if that happened, they still had to go to work or be sent to the gas chamber. And so they were forced to march through the snow barefooted and work. The conditions were just horrible. But like I started this video off, one of the things that Viktor realized is that the Nazis could take everything from him. They could take his body from him. They could take his health from him. They could work him until there was really nothing left of him. But they couldn't touch his mind unless he allowed them to touch his mind. That's the one thing that Viktor controlled that they couldn't. He could be out there working in horrid cold conditions, digging a ditch through the frozen ground, but he could be thinking about his wife. He could be thinking about being back home. He could be thinking about a warm day. He could be thinking about anything because they could not take and touch his mind unless he allowed them to. They could take everything else, and they did. But they could not touch his mind until he allowed them to. The name of the book is Man's Search for Meaning. The author is Viktor Frankl. I highly recommend you read it. It was published in the 1950s, and it's been reprinted 75 times. And in fact, through Viktor's involvement in the 3 years of the prison camps, he created an entire new therapy called logotherapy that is still widely used today. In fact, many psychiatrists have moved toward Viktor's line of therapy and away from Sigmund Freud, who is a famous psychiatrist. But through all that evil, Viktor was able to bring something new and good and positive that millions of people have benefited from across the world. Just remember, no matter what you're going through, you can still control your mind. You can still control your attitude to whatever's happening to you, because life is tough. And nothing's going to hit harder than life. Nothing. There's not a billionaire on the planet. There's not a world's strongest man on the planet. There's nobody that's going to hit harder than life. But you and I can control how we handle life, how we react and respond to the things that happen to us in life. Like and subscribe to this channel. Have an awesome, awesome day.